Are you a registered voter, miss?
The fight over choice in Florida is on the presidential ballot this fall.
I think the stakes couldn't be higher.
Whether to expand and protect abortion rights.
This is about political interference and control.
This law is designed to make us afraid.
Or keep the state's 6-week ban in place.
The unrighteous nature of Amendment 4.
It's murder. But what about the child? And what about the father?
Amendment 4.
Amendment 4.
Millions of dollars poured into a fight that's taken some unexpected turns.
So your concern is that file clerks could be doing the abortions?
The Amendment 4 doesn't close that door.
As reproductive care hangs in the balance.
The presidential election isn't the only thing before American voters this fall. In 10 states, voters will also be asked about whether to protect or expand access to abortion. We're in Florida because it is one of those states, and it has some of the toughest abortion restrictions in the country. And the fight here over reproductive rights is intense.
We don't want to overwhelm people, but we want them to know that we're a friendly group that you can approach and talk to about this.
On a steamy Sunday in Miami, pro-choice volunteers make their way through a bustling, artsy neighborhood.
Hi, how are you guys?
Among them, Dr. Chelsea Daniels,
So you're gonna enter your name?
who knows firsthand what's at stake.
Hey, are y'all registered to vote in Florida?
While there are a few moments when the message is not welcome.
Yeah. Are you aware that Florida currently has an extreme near total abortion ban, and we have the opportunity to reverse that this November?
Sorry. Can we not do this?
But for the most part, people seem willing to listen.
For someone to tell you what you can and can't do with your body, it's insane.
We know that this is just basic health care, and I think that when you present it to people that way, they're like, yeah, it is. I do support this.
As an abortion provider, she says the current law is difficult to navigate.
Right now, a woman in Florida can only get an abortion before the 6-week mark. That can be before a woman even realizes she's pregnant. There are some exceptions, but the qualifications and the requirements, they're not as straightforward as they seem.
Most doctors don't feel comfortable navigating them, and if you do, and you navigate them wrong, you are subject to losing your license, fines, and criminal penalties. It's hard to not be afraid because this law is designed to make us afraid, and it's working.
Daniel says her clinic network alone has been forced to turn away more than 700 patients since the 6-week ban started in May, including a 20-year-old woman who just moved to the U.S. and does not speak English.
She was past the 6 weeks of pregnancy, so she was no longer able to access an abortion, and she disclosed to our staff that she had been raped.
Daniels says the woman did not qualify for the rape exception because neither she nor the clinic could get a police report to prove a sexual assault happened.
She left my office, she gave me a big hug. She was crying, I was crying, the nurses were crying. It was horrible. Thanks.
Daniels is channeling her frustration into political action, supporting what's called Amendment 4, the ballot question on abortion rights in Florida. Amendment 4 proposes making abortion a right in Florida's Constitution. It would expand access from 6 weeks to the point of viability, or roughly 24 weeks. A no vote keeps the 6-week ban in place. The vote needs 60% support to pass, and the fight is deeply charged because once the Constitution is changed, it's nearly impossible to undo. One of the leading voices against Amendment 4 is the Archbishop of Miami, Thomas Wensky.
Do you have an appointment? Yes, with the Archbishop. So, do you think Amendment 4 is going to pass?
I hope it doesn't.
The Catholic Church preaches life is sacred from the moment of conception.
From our perspective, in which we want to honor all unborn life, we say no on 4.
The no side also says the language in the amendment isn't specific enough about who the abortion care provider would be.
A file clerk is there at the abortion and something goes wrong and she starts bleeding. That can hurt the woman very much. It could cause her death.
Do you think that file clerks are going to be performing abortion if
well,
it passes?
the Amendment 4 doesn't say they can't. Amendment 4 doesn't say that a doctor has to be involved, that a doctor has to sign off.
Florida law currently states only a physician can terminate a pregnancy, but he claims that could change if Amendment 4 passes.
So we really want to pray that God does remarkable things for these people. Father, thank you.
A couple of hours north of Miami, members of a congregation gathered to hear the arguments of the no side.
On behalf of the governor, on behalf of the First Lady, thank you for being here today.
There is some powerful backing here. Eric Dellenbeck is Florida Governor Ron DeSantis' faith and community liaison.
There are just certain things we cannot stay quiet about. This is one of those moments.
This audience is firmly anti-abortion.
I'm definitely voting no.
Tell me why.
I just don't understand why people would even think of killing a baby.
There's no protection here. It's murder.
Dellenbeck and his team are on a tour of Florida on the Voice for Life bus, spreading their word town by town, church by church.
What do you say when you hear the yes people argue that they don't want the government to have anything to do with what they see as a medical decision?
One of my fundamental beliefs is that I believe that somebody has to be watching out also for the rights of that child.
He, like the Archbishop, also questions who provides care should Amendment 4 pass.
They use the language healthcare provider. And when you look down that list, I mean, it's massage therapists and acupuncturists, as I was mentioning. I'm just telling you that...
Well, you don't think massage therapists and acupuncturists are going to end up doing abortion
care? But that's an irrelevant question. It's an irrelevant question because as long as law says they can, in a constitutional amendment, by the way, this isn't just a little statute, then what I'm saying to you is whether I believe it would or wouldn't happen becomes an irrelevant point. You've opened the law for it to be able to happen.
This is just a sample of the rhetoric in this fight. To get a better idea of the actual change the amendment could bring, we headed to the University of Miami to speak with law professor Caroline Mala Corbin.
The language is surprisingly straightforward. It's rare in law that you see things with such clear language.
She says the amendment is simply meant to expand access to abortion and act as a set of guidelines.
And it basically says that the government may not ban abortion before viability or prevent an abortion that's necessary for the woman's health. That's not actually all that complicated.
At the university, students we spoke with want to see the amendment pass.
I am personally pro the amendment. I'm going to be voting yes on 4. I consider myself to be pro-choice.
The fight over reproductive rights and freedoms has drawn more younger voters into the political process, especially those upset by the new restrictions.
As a woman, that's terrifying to me. If there's anything I can do to forward more accessibility for women, that's what I'm in favor for.
What's it like to be living in a state where there's a 6-week abortion ban?
It's scary. I think if me or any of my friends are in a situation where we need an abortion and it's past those 6 weeks, like, we would have to drive, I don't know, like, it's a long drive out of Florida.
The long trek out of Florida has become a reality for thousands of women. The drive to North Carolina, the closest state where abortion is more accessible, can take upwards of 12 hours, depending on where a patient lives. Those are the patients Dr. Chelsea Daniels worries about. To clear and focus her mind, she's training for a marathon, a push to build endurance as she steadies herself in what she sees as the fight for her life's work. A fight her political opponents say they too are ready for, willing to go any distance for their cause to sway the vote this fall.